Welcome back to my channel for another video. So this week, guys, what I want to talk about is the best possible instrument that you can trade. Okay, so there's always that question out there, isn't there? You know, what's the best thing to trade? Is it Tesla? Is it NIO? Etc. etc. Is it this stock? Is it that stock? Well, for me, it's futures. Okay, now I have predominantly traded futures basically for the last year and a half. I very rarely trade a stock. As a matter of fact, I couldn't even tell you the last time I traded a stock. Now there is a specific reason for that. The futures, you only have one layer of analysis to complete, okay, and that is the future itself. And the other great thing about futures as well is you can trade them, you know, 4 times a day if you want. And me personally, I trade them 3 times a day. So I trade the FTSE 100 on the European Open, I trade the Dow Jones on the US Open, and I trade the Dow Jones on the US close. Now I don't trade the European close because it's pretty unpredictable. But the best way that I can explain this is, you know, if you were to drive, you know, a different car every single day, you know, it's difficult to get to know that car, isn't it? The characteristics, how it feels, you know, the different buttons, what this does, what that does, etc. etc. And when you're driving that car, there's an element of you holding back because, you know, your comfort level is not as it would be if you were to drive the same car every single day. Well, the same principle and the same psychology can be implemented in trading futures. So for example, I trade the FTSE 100 every single morning, you know, Monday to Friday. I trade the Dow Jones 5 days a week as well on the European Open and on the US close. And you get to know, for example, the spread. You know what the spread is every time you go in, it's not a shock. Whereas if you're trading the FTSE 100 and the Dow Jones or even the DAX every single day, as soon as you open your position, you know what the spread is. So you know what your negative net position is as soon as you open that, and you know how much it has to move in order for you to become back to a negative zero position. And then you know where it has to move in order for you to become profitable. So trading futures is the way forward. There's absolutely no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And that's why I've traded futures for a year and a half. You know, that's all I've traded is the Dow Jones and the FTSE 100. You know, on occasion I'll trade a DAX. But if you're looking to implement the most effective strategy in your trading approach, and listen, I know there's a lot of people out there that are still looking to find that one instrument that they can trade, you know, instead of chopping and changing. Well, listen, futures is the way to do it. And you can just pick the 2 futures, you know, the FTSE 100 and the Dow Jones. And it's quite a diverse approach really, isn't it? Because, you know, for example, if you cannot trade the US Open because you're working, well, you know, you can trade one of the other time frames, can't you? You can trade the European Open or the US close. But the thing about trading the same future every day is that you get to know it inside out. You get to know how it moves. So if you want to implement an effective and consistent strategy in your trading approach, futures really is the way to do it. It's the way to do it, you know, because you're trading that instrument every single day, 5 days a week, and you almost become one with that instrument after a certain amount of time. And listen, this is the way forward. It's the way forward, and it takes a lot of the headache from your pre-market analysis and how you approach the market. So trading the same instrument every day, straight away you're implementing a level of consistency, okay, even without actually doing anything. The fact that you're trading the same future every single day, you are immediately implementing a level of consistency into your trading approach. And it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? It makes perfect sense. So me personally, as I've always said, I trade 3 times a day, and I trade 3 times a day with my students. Okay, so on the European Open, I trade with my students. On the US Open, I trade with my students, and I actually provide live commentary on the Dow Jones, on the US Open, Monday to Friday. So 5 days a week, I actually provide live commentary for my students. So I'm actually talking my students through what I'm seeing, you know, resistance, rejections, support rejections, consolidation, etc. etc. I've taught my students how to catch a fish and then cook it. Okay, and that's what it's all about. It's about implementing that level of consistency into students where they can become self-sufficient. And that is the ultimate goal, is for them to become completely self-sufficient. If you want to become a consistent trader, futures is the way forward. Okay, futures is the way forward. trading the same instrument every single day. You get to know the ins and outs, you get to know the spread, you get to know how it moves, etc., etc. You will immediately implement a level of consistency into your trading approach if you stick with the same future every single day. And as I keep saying, a human being operates at their optimal best when they are relaxed. The more relaxed you are, the better you perform. And when you think about it, doesn't that make absolute perfect sense? The more relaxed you are, the better you perform. So it eliminates so many elements of fear when you trade the same future every single day. You're taking away a lot of questions that usually have to be answered when you trade different stocks or different instruments every single day. So straight away, you're eliminating so many questions. And what I always say to my students is, the less questions that you have to ask, the less complex the process. The less complex the process, the easier it is to immerse yourself in trading itself. Because the more questions that you ask, you end up just confusing yourself. And listen, trading isn't as complex as what people make it out to be. The reason that it's made out to be so complex is because people ask so many questions. You know, you don't need to ask so many questions. There is key questions that must be asked. There's only a small amount of questions that have to be asked and a small amount of questions that must be answered. And there's no point in overcomplicating the process. And I think that's where a lot of traders go wrong, is that they're overcomplicating the process. It is not a complex process. Reduce the number of questions that you ask, and you automatically again implement a level of consistency in your trading. And again, doesn't it make sense? The less complex the process, the easier it is. Okay, so you strip all of these unnecessary elements of your trading strategy away and you bring it back to basics. You bring it back to absolute basics. You ask the minimum amount of questions. When you ask the minimum amount of questions, you get a greater result. Okay, and there's no doubt, there's absolutely no doubt that what I'm saying I believe in 100%, because this is what I've implemented over the last 2 years. And I always say to my students on the live call that there's two questions to be asked on the open. There's two specific questions to be asked, and once they're answered, you have a level of consistency within your trading approach. So listen, at the end of the day, you know, you do have to diversify what it is that you're doing to a certain degree, but also doesn't it make sense that you stick to the same instrument every single day and become one with that instrument? So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you haven't already done so, make sure that you smash that like button. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And if you want to contact me, you can contact me on my Instagram, and that is sambor.00. If you want to know about my financial community and what I do with my students, you can have a look at my website. The link to my website is in my bio on my Instagram page. This is the way forward. Okay guys, this is the way forward, is to trade futures. It's to trade the same instrument day after day and become one with it. So I will see you again next week for more videos.